Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Krista here for the weekly reading for the sign of Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is going to be a little bit similar to last week's spread. I'll be doing a 3-card spread, but just using a different deck for the central spread. So central card, 2 qualifiers, and the bottom of the deck for general energy Cancer. And then we'll be drawing additional guidance cards from the Medicine Card Tarot and the Wisdom of the Oracle Tarot. If you don't know your moon and rising signs, Cancer, there's a link in my description box to a site called Always Astrology. Just plug in your information there and you get a snapshot of your entire birth chart. And that way, if for any reason this Cancer spread doesn't resonate with you, you can look at your rising or moon spreads and see if those help. But I do hope this spread does speak to you, my dear Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So we're looking at general messages for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the week of April 30th to May 6th. Information about how to contact me and about my book and about the cards that I'm using are in the description box as well. So I wish for Cancer all success, joy, and wellness. I invoke spirits of love, light, and beauty. I call upon Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Metatron, and Uriel to guide this reading in peace, clarity, protection, and wisdom. I ask Mother Gaia to please bless this reading for Cancer. So far, we have really spiritually significant cards here, Cancer. Your central card is spiritual growth, and the card to the right is Guardian Angel. Guardian Angel usually shows up when you're feeling lost, isolated, or neglected. It's a really good time to be your own best friend. And if you're not in the habit already of looking for spiritual guidance or looking to the angels for support or advice, perhaps this week would be a nice time to begin doing that. You could also have a guardian angel in your physical world, meaning you have someone that you consider to be a guardian angel, someone who comes through for you and helps you through difficult times, who is, what we consider an angel on earth. So if you are suffering in silence for any reason this week, Cancer, please reach out and get support, because it is a lot of energy to do that. And the central position here, spiritual growth, is stating that these are at odds with one another. Unless you're taking action to avoid those feelings of neglect, depletion, or loneliness, you could detract from this enormous sense of spiritual growth this week, or this ongoing sense of spiritual growth, because it is so much energy. On the other hand, you could be the guardian angel for someone else, or you could be turning to a guardian angel this week in order to address those feelings and get to the bottom of something so that you can move on, so that you can continue your spiritual ascension, your personal ascension. Regardless, spiritual growth being the central position is an incredibly powerful place to be, because it speaks to being present in the moment. And then we have meditation to the left. This is really interesting to me, Cancers, because there's usually a call in a reading for either action, taking action. there's a time for contemplation, there's a time for rounding up thoughts and beliefs to get to the bottom of something, there's a time for listening. And it's interesting, this week seems to you, for you, to be a state of total awareness, which is really only possible by living in the moment. So if you have honed this attitude or this ability, this is going to behoove you this week in an incredibly powerful way. Your spiritual growth, and we'll look at these in detail in just a moment, but it really is so powerful here, particularly in the central position, because spiritual growth means that it affects, or rather it touches everything. Okay? That's what I mean by this being no small beings. Being in the central position. It's not a qualifier card, it's a state of being this week. So this is a state of being, and it takes presence. Not necessarily the gift-wrapped kind, but being in the moment, your immediate presence, and being available to yourself and others. In a state of non-judgment, okay? To ascend one's own foibles or mistakes or obligations or even pain or a sense of tuning out or getting closer to yourself, however we're going to read the meditation card in a moment, takes incredible focus. This is really cool in your central position, Cancer. So we'll look at that in detail in just a moment. We have another beautiful card at the bottom of the deck for you, for your general energy for the week, Cancer, and it is Enchantment. You'll notice the card is incredibly blue, so very emotionally aware. And we've got a unicorn as the imagery in the card. There's a white goose and a tree in bloom. Beautiful grassy field. Just total freedom. Being totally enchanted and being aware of the enchantment. So this is positive as well with regard to not being confused about the enchantment, not being confused about how you see things, but also not being wrapped up in them. You're not taking this sense of enchantment for granted, but you're also not letting it lead you by the nose. I think you're perfectly and acutely aware of this sense of enchantment and how much you add to it, how much of it is because of processes you've taken in the real world. But it's also a state of being. It's a state of significant allowance. Okay, not everyone allows themselves a state of enchantment. It's a remarkably freeing place emotionally to come from, but it's also incredibly beautiful. Think about the word enchantment. If you're enchanted by something, you're almost in awe of it. You're struck by it. It's possibly even overwhelming. You could even feel initially overwhelmed by it, or enchanted to the point where you want to examine it to get to the nuts and bolts of it. And I'm going to say this week, Cancer, to just delight in the state of enchantment and not try to dissect it this week. Try to be in this state, be in the now, in this moment. Perhaps you are the one who's enchanting, or you know where to find enchantment. And because this is a mythical being in the card, and very the heavy blue hues, which relate to the emotion, right, to water, and then focusing back to the central issue, which is spiritual growth. Perhaps you're enchanted by a new phase of your own spiritual growth, or part of your spiritual growth is in delighting in the enchantment of it. So it doesn't have to be heavy at all. It could be very freeing, very light, very beautiful, stunning even. You could find yourself stunned by something beautiful and awe-inducing this week if you already haven't, Cancer. Enchantment could also be something as simple but profound as being in nature, reconnecting with nature, the natural world, the process of emotions, particularly from a spiritual vantage point. It could be also, Cancer, that this state of spiritual growth and enlightenment holds enchantment for you. It is the place of enchantment for you, where this is the place like an Eden. It's like all problems are solved here. All doubt is released here. All trauma is healed here. And this place is very uniquely and significantly within you, within your emotional state. Could be a physical place, but I feel very strongly this is an emotional state for you that you bring yourself. You've allowed yourself to get here after recognition of something very large regarding your spiritual abilities and your spiritual proclivities this week. And again, if it's not something as simple as just being out in the natural world and relating and reconnecting to the natural world, trees, birds, insects, the spring has sprung finally, so even the sun being out later, the days being longer, something about the natural world, but it's how you feel about it. All right, so let's look at, I want to look at the spiritual growth card a little bit more closely for a moment. By the way, I do have allergies this week, so if I'm sniffing, I'm really sorry. I did take something for them, so hopefully they're gone next week. Anyway, I'm sorry if it's bothersome. So spiritual growth, Cancer, you can see how strongly she's standing on the center of the mountain, completely protected by the worlds and the constructs around her, or him, if you're male or identify as male. But her wings are just massive. Like this is a state. Perhaps you can see her face. I hope you can. And it's so closely tied to her state of meditation here, is so closely tied now to the card to the left, which is actual meditation. So this is some place inside that you're finding within yourself. Or alternately, if you are an individual who has been religiously inclined, religion as an institution, you could find for yourself this week that religion as opposed to or versus spirituality is showing up as a concept for you this week. For example, I don't consider myself a religious person, but I do consider myself a spiritual person. And I don't think you need religion to be spiritual, but you do need spirituality to be religious. So it's just an idea this week to look at concepts and institutions of formal spirituality, because you could be growing away from something institutional or readily available to everyone and dogmatic, even a doctrine, and that you found something significant for yourself that works for you, that is still spiritual, but not necessarily religious. So, and it's always remarkable to take that route because it's uniquely yours. This is the beautiful thing about spirituality versus religion, for example, is only you can write that book. Only you can talk about that experience, that spiritual experience. And you could find, well, there are similarities or overlap between, a spiritual event for you and a religious concept or state, but not necessarily. Either way, Cancer, you are experiencing much personal growth here, to the delight of your own emotions and your own, lens on the world. This is really benefiting you this week. So that's delightful. We have Guardian Angel to the right of spiritual growth. And like I mentioned early on in the reading, if you do feel lonely or left out, bereft of comfort, or even feeling unaccepted or confused about anything, please turn to, if not an earth angel, to a guardian angel of your choice. We all have guardian angels of your own. You can pray to them or turn to them for help and guidance and assistance. But you can also turn to a specific archangel. I turn to Michael, Gabriel, and Metatron a lot when I need help. But please look up lists of angels if you're not familiar with them and see who resonates with you. Mother Mary is another angel who I've been guided to pray to recently. This is because a great deal of magenta and pink in the card, and there's two female entities. This could have something to do with your mother or yourself as a mom, or anything to do with maternity, where you need assistance and guidance this week. So pay attention to that and don't let yourself feel alone for too long, if you let yourself go there at all. Because as I stated really early on in the reading, it could sap your energy, and it'll sap time that you could be spending here in your spiritual awareness, right? In the now, which is where all power is. Excuse me. And it could be taking you away from a sense of meditative bliss or meditative practice. It's also a really good example of reconnecting with someone or an angelic entity that you've been neglecting, to recognize that you do feel lonely or isolated. So you could find this through meditation, this reconnection through meditation. Meditation really simply means being in the moment, being in the now, being fully aware and present in the moment. And it doesn't equal sitting still. I think still sitting meditative practice is incredibly important in a mad world that I consider that we live in. So sitting still is one of the hardest things to do, right? In this world of busy work, productivity, value systems. But perhaps this week, Cancer meditation is about new values, valuing being in the moment, being calm, being present with yourself, being open to more enchantment, being available to more enchantment, letting yourself feel enchanted and ascended even by being in the moment, by sitting still. So it's funny because normally I would say, the act of meditation is about sitting still, but it doesn't have to. You can fold laundry or do the dishes or be deep in contemplative conversation with someone. And this could also be meditative for you because you're totally and completely in the moment. However, because of the spread and the place where it's positioned, I'm going to suggest that greater levels of meditation still sitting meditation occur for you this week, Cancer? Sorry, my nose is out of control. So perhaps if you've been finding that by being active and relating to others while being in the present as a meditation does lead to further spiritual growth, stick to that, obviously, Cancer. But if you're finding that you're able to get to these places either more efficiently, or you feel that are more beneficial to you, or it's more peaceful to be alone and sitting, while looking at why you could be feeling down or needing additional help this week, I'm going to suggest that sitting still is probably the way to go this week for you, Cancers. So let's get some additional cards here. You could be enchanted also with a new feeling of ascension or spiritual growth, Cancer, because it's so new. Which is still lovely. There's nothing wrong with that. This is a new place for you spiritually, where you feel confident and comfortable. Great deal of calm this week. You could be putting negativity, doubt, or fear to rest, which is lovely. Those are all illusions anyway. Don't be afraid to be different or to ascend or to arrive to places of success and prosperity or spiritual growth that other people are not. Cease comparison, Cancer. Comparison is the enemy of acceptance. Accept yourself, and others will also. All right. So the additional card from the Medicine card tarot is the Crow, whose keyword is the law. And automatically from the imagery on the card, we see there is a balance here to be kept. There is projection and there is reaction. So what are you projecting and what are you reacting to? How much do you bring into it and how much of it is situational? How long do you want to continue that balance? Also, the law deals with karma and the creation of karma and the end of it. So anything having to do with the law, and again, as a general reading, unless you're involved in a legal matter, which would be really cool that this came up, so let me know. This is strictly about yourself and your place in the world, and a sense of balance. But it appears as though in order to keep a sense of balance, you've already found it. So stay in balance this week, Cancer. Wow, and then breathe. So this is lovely as well, with enchantment, spiritual growth, and meditation. We've got the card Breathe. And this woman is literally in meditation. I don't know if you can see her there. She's got her eyes closed and she's sitting in contemplation, meditation. So again, I'm going to suggest that you continue still sitting meditation for yourself and keep the lines clear, keep the lines open. Don't push for anything, just release and enjoy the enchantment that comes with being present and accepting of yourself and others. So Cancer, that completes your weekly reading for the week of April 30th to May 6th. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave me comments in the comment section if you like. Let me know what you thought of the reading, and take care of yourself in the meantime. I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.